Hello again, I'm Doug Smith. Welcome to Portsmouth This Week on 14 July 2017. Our guest today is Tim Dunbar, the town's recreation director. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
To the show, Tim. You've had a very busy year, a couple of years really, but I wonder if you could start by just describing your job with the town and what kind of stuff you get into. What does it entail?
Sure. The recreation director for the town of Portsmouth does a number of things. We run Sandy Point Beach. We also run all of our programs. We have sailing lessons, swimming lessons. We have a child day camp during the day down at Sandy Point Beach. I'm also in charge of the fields, the scheduling of the fields, and I do the evaluation hiring.
These are all the athletic fields around town?
Right, all the athletic fields around town that aren't part of the schools. That's separate. Right. But then I'm also in charge of our employees, the supervision and evaluation of them.
And yet you're a part-time employee. How do you do all this stuff as a part-time employee? I'm blown away by how much you've done.
Sure. Well, it's tricky being a part-time guy. I mean, right now I'm getting about 55 hours a week into a 20-hour-a-week position. But I mean, things need to be done right, and I take a lot of pride because I grew up here in Portsmouth, and I love the beach. I think it's one of our last, nice jewels that we have in the town, and I really want to put that extra in to make sure that everything is going well, and that we really, we offer some quality programs for the residents.
Yeah, I think it's important to have somebody like you that grew up in town, knows the area, knows the people. Where do you live now, by the way?
Well, actually, it's funny. I lived in Portsmouth for about 40 years, and just last year I moved to Middletown.
Okay.
But yeah, my 40
we'll
years.
We'll stamp your passport back and forth.
My 40 years of experience in Portsmouth has served me well.
Now, okay, so you're part-time, but I'm assuming you get some support and assistance from other employees of the town hall.
Rich Rayner is a great guy. He's always there when I have a question about something. If I don't know it, he certainly does. Barbara up at the town hall, is a great resource. She knows everything that's going on. Brian down at DPW has helped us with a number of things, and in addition to Chief Lee and the fire chief as well.
Mike Cranston.
Mike Cranston, great guy too. Yep.
Yeah, no, they are great. We're blessed by great people, including you in this town. If people should go on our town website and go to click on government and go down and look at recreation, because the catalog of events for this summer is amazing to me. I had no idea we had this much stuff going on in Portsmouth, and you can register for these things online as well?
You can register online, or you can send the stuff in, your payment with the form, and just mail it to the town hall, or a lot of people just drop it off. It's interesting because Portsmouth never had a catalog like that until last year. Last year was the first year that we did it, and we had such a great reception to it that it's back again this year with even more sections, more classes, more availability for people to sign up for different things.
Now, are these things generally filled up pretty much, or what's the response been?
Usually we offered a lot more sections this year, so we're about 75% full with everything that we did run.
But that's fine.
Yeah, and that's fine. What we wanted to do is, we heard from parents last year and said they wanted more things in the morning, more things in the afternoon, so we took that to heart when we put together, I think it was a 16-page catalog that just had, really wanted to make it flexible for, the mom with kids, and just something that they have plenty of choices about.
Yeah. I know Sandy Point Beach is the main focus of all our water activities. And one of the things that I think I'm very glad to see is sail training coming back. How is that, and how are the swimming programs going this year? Are they pretty full, and people taking advantage of this?
Yeah, our biggest things that we have right now is our sailing program. I know it was done by a private group years ago, and then it kind of fell off for a couple of years. Yeah, and then we took it back last year, and the reception to it was great, and it is great again this year. It's one of our biggest things. We also have the swimming lessons, which has always been popular. Folks love to get the little guys in there as soon as possible and get them versed in the water. And then we have an outstanding day camp down at the beach, and we can go anywhere from having 8 to 28 kids a day down there running around. And
well, that's great. The On the sailing program, where did you get your boats?
Last year we bought a couple of two 10-footers.
Those are the Opties?
Yeah, from West Marine
Okay.
in Middletown, and they're great boats
They
to
are,
train
absolutely,
on.
yeah.
And the kids do a good job with those, and usually the instructors are right in the boats with them, so there's no issue. But it really we talk about water safety first. They might not even go into the water until the second day, but by the end of the program, they've got a good respect for the boat and how to take care of themselves.
And that's a good general way to get into sailing, I think. They use the same boats at Sail Newport for their training as well. You're offering a lot of other programs, including things like karate lessons, even adult rummy tournaments, tennis lessons. How are all those things going?
Well, actually, last year we had tennis, and we also had the karate lessons. We found that those things were not as popular this year, and I think probably for next year's catalog, we're going to remove those things, because we want to focus on what the people really want, what the residents want. And what I'm hearing that they want is they want the sailing, they want the swimming lessons, they want the day camp, they want an after-school program that we'll probably talk about later on today. And then I want to be able to put out, probably before the summer ends, a survey to the residents and really get some ideas about what else they would like to see. Because I can put anything in the catalog, but I want it to be stuff that's valuable to them.
Yeah. Talk with Rich Solipsky, our director in there, because he's kind of the survey guru in town. He knows how to do this stuff. Yeah, you mentioned academic enrichment programs. I know you partner with the Portsmouth Free Public Library, and this to me sounds really great. I just wonder, are the kids really into this stuff? I mean, you offer a whole bunch of things, from algebra to literature to everything else, and also who teaches those, or what do they entail?
Sure. We do two things, actually. We've done all year long. We pay tutors to be at the library on Thursday nights, basically from 4 to close. And we get a good group of folks that will come out for tutoring for that, and we have some regulars. We've been doing that for about a year and a half now. And then we do, as you mentioned, the enrichment programs in a variety of different things. They're typically done by college students, and some of the kids that I have working for me, their majors are math or their majors are chemistry, so that's what they would tutor. And we've had nothing but positive results from that.
Now, these are paid positions.
Paid positions, yes.
I don't know if there's ever any opportunity for volunteers. I was going to talk about volunteers later.
Sure.
Could people conceivably volunteer, for example, to be a tutor?
They could volunteer to be a tutor. I know we've had people in the past come down and volunteer to paint the bathhouse at Sandy Point. We had some Eagle Scouts come down and put some nice benches down at Sandy Point. So, of course, I'm always open to, volunteers and,
Well, especially being kind of a bare bones operation, you as the guy, I think volunteers might be able to help. And people who do want to volunteer, I presume they can contact you through the town website or through your telephone number, which will be up on the screen shortly.
Sure.
What's interesting to me is when you look at recreation in Portsmouth, that catalog, which I think is replete with all kind of stuff, it doesn't even mention the other things that are going on, like Little League, baseball, softball, t-ball for kids, even things like youth basketball is another interesting concept. But the one that especially was interesting to me was lacrosse. Number one, I didn't know lacrosse was that big of a sport here in New England, but I guess it is. Soccer, football, all of these things are done by other groups in town. And do they sort of coordinate with you, or do you have any contact with these folks?
Yeah, I think we all have a good relationship at this point. As you know, the town of Portsmouth did not have a recreation department for the last, 20 or 30 years. So what we've had in town is a lot of folks, have built up, the soccer, have built up the lacrosse, the baseball, from nothing. And now they have great programs with that. And I'm not trying to come in and, create a new baseball, or create new soccer.
No, these guys have been doing a great job.
Right, a great job. And my catalog kind of just supplements what I thought was missing from a recreation department, and again, what the residents wanted. As far as working with the teams and stuff, I work with them a lot on scheduling with the special events field down the 70 Gardner complex and things like that.
Yeah, because one of the things I've always wondered about is these things are pretty well used, all of these fields, during the summertime particularly. How do you go about taking care of these things? I assume part of this is DPW's job, I guess.
Sure, part of it is, and also what we try to do too is, give the fields a break here and there. We also have some property down on Sandy Point Avenue, the Triple S fields, and we're looking to eventually get those to a point where we can kind of rotate the sports groups around a bit.
That's kind of what the question was.
Right.
Is there a way to take the strain off these things?
Yeah.
Because if they're used constantly, they're going to just deteriorate.
Right.
Do you have any kind of a formal agreement with these groups, or is it just kind of a, you're doing your recreation thing and they're doing their thing, and you keep each other informed?
It's a lot like that. It's a lot of just organizational stuff. Again, I don't want to tell them how to do soccer or sports, they've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
But basically, we just work together on a scheduling level, and of course, if they have issues or need any help, I'm there for them as well.
I know sometimes there are these larger soccer or other events, Beast of the East,
Right.
contests, etc. When those things, I assume, are organized by the sport folks themselves, right? Or do they go through you?
Well, like the Beast of the East, for example, goes through me. We'll sit and we look at a date, and we also try to stay in contact with the local sports leagues as well,
Okay,
because
they're effective.
of course we want the town to get some revenue from these things that are coming in, but we also don't want to crush any of the local sports teams that are having things going down there, because those are our kids.
Sure.
So we want to make sure that my thing is trying to get everyone to work together and to coexist. To the highest level of functionality possible.
Yeah, good luck with that. This is Portsmouth.
It's tricky sometimes, sure.
Yeah, I know they frequently have concessions down there, like food, hot dog stuff. And does the town get any kind of revenue from that?
Not as far as I know yet, but what we're going to do with the Brown House is eventually, the Brown House has a nice kitchen, and when we get some more stuff in there, I would like to sell snacks, drinks, right out of the Brown House. And we also have functional bathrooms and stuff in there, nice ones, that I think will be a draw as well. But and all that money will go right back to the town from those concessions.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the Brown House. This is a historic home inside the 70 sports complex, and the idea is it's being refurbished essentially to be a home for the administration of the recreation department, of which right now you're the main guy. What is the status of that, and give us some timelines, perhaps?
Sure. Well, I was down the Brown House. Every year the Friends of the Brown House did a nice Easter egg hunt for the kids. Yep. So I saw the before and after on the inside, and it looks fantastic now. Really, a lot of nice rooms and a lot of nice space. Because the number one problem that I've had as a recreation director is finding space to use for our programs. And now that we have the Brown House, I feel like we'll be able to do a lot more with that added space.
So actually classrooms, perhaps, and things
yeah,
like
classrooms. We might actually end up doing our tutoring at the Brown House. When I want to offer a CPR or a first aid class, I can do it there. And I also have a plan being developed for an after-school program in September out of the Brown House as well.
Yeah.
What we're doing right now is we're just getting furniture in there. Everything was just recently completed. We're getting furniture in there and stuff that we need to run programs. And then I think in a month or two we will be fully rocking, rolling out of that building.
Really? So, okay, so you'll have an office in there. Where's the rest of the staff? Are they, do you have a staff that...
In the recreation department currently, because it's the summertime, we have 18 employees.
Okay.
All part-time, mostly kids, high school and college kids, because we obviously have a bunch of lifeguards down at Sandy Point Beach, and we have 2 or 3 folks in every program that we run. But I think, again, the Brown House is perfect with plenty of room and plenty of space for whatever we need in the future.
Now, is it premature, or can people go down there and kind of see what it looks like?
I think it's a little premature at this point to go down and see
Probably
what it
not
looks like.
open all the time.
No, it's not open all the time yet. But again, when we get around to September, maybe late August, I'm going to start having regular office hours down there, and people are welcome to come on in.
Yeah. By the way, why don't you tell us about your real job, your other job?
Sure.
To give people an idea of how much you're doing here.
Well, I am a full-time public school teacher for the last 15 years in Massachusetts. That's my normal job. And then I do this on the other end of, it's a lot easier now because, obviously I don't have school during the summertime, so I can devote those extra hours which are necessary now.
Yeah, well, like I say, I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
What's interesting is that the town charter calls for a full-time recreation director. And are there plans to make your position a full-time position at some point in the future?
Rich Rayner and I have talked about it, and I think there's plans down the road to make it a full-time position. I mean, I think it's certainly something that needs to be a full-time position because it's going to grow. And actually, a year and a half ago when I started, the number of duties and things that I had is nothing like it is today. So I see it continuing to grow, and I think it's going to have to become, just by necessity, a full-time position down the road.
Yeah. Just to talk about the revenue angle of this thing, do you all end up with a net loss or gain at the end of the year?
Yeah, I mean, what happens... Sandy Point Beach has been lumped in with the Recreation Department, and what happens is we always take a loss at Sandy Point Beach because the state makes us have 3 lifeguards at all times, and we have to pay regardless of the weather conditions. And if you have 3, that really means you're having 4 every day because they need to go to lunch and have breaks and take 5 minutes out of the sun and stuff like that. And then there's busy days when you want extra lifeguards. So we have typically run a loss at Sandy Point, and sometimes that's hard to swallow. But again, that's a huge service that we offer for residents, and
Yeah,
I think they get a very good amount of use out of the beach. And about 7 or 8 years ago, we did a survey that indicated about 1/3 of the residents made regular use of Sandy Point. So there's certainly, to put money into Sandy Point, I think is a good idea. And I think as I said earlier, I think it's one of the last nice real jewels that we have, here in Portsmouth.
Yeah. Now I know the town's always looking for new revenue sources. I guess they've retasked the Economic Development Committee to come up with some ideas on how we might do this. Down the road, do you think this would, you could make this thing either break even or actually make money?
Yeah, I think down the road, we're not too far away. If you really broke up the Recreation Department in Sandy Point Beach, I think the Recreation Department is not too far from being self-sustaining, which I know is what the council envisioned for it to do in the beginning. Now that I have the Brown House and I can offer more things, the other thing that we don't get a lot of attention of is everything that we do for the Recreation Department besides these summer programs is free. I mean, to the resident. So it's free tutoring. We did free things over Christmas. The Easter egg hunt that we have is free. We're about to put on another movie night August 1st.
Great. I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, another movie night again with the police station. What a great group and Chief Lee down there. And all these things are free. So obviously, it gets tricky sometimes to recap those funds.
Well, I think we have to remember that this is a service that the town provides to residents. There's always, in every town, they're always looking for revenue. Nobody has enough money ever to do everything. But I think you guys are doing a really great job. Okay, let's assume this building opens up, say next year even perhaps, the Brown House. Will there be any administrative staff, or how do you plan to?
Oh, well, I think it's probably going to start off with just me, and I don't think we're going to need to wait to get next year. My plan is to be fully operational by the end of August, if not the beginning of September, because for a long time I've wanted, I'm sure you remember back to the Portsmouth Action for Youth, the pay program years ago, and I always loved the quality of their after-school programs, and that's something that I want to replicate come September. As far as the staff, I mean, I have one young lady who helps me from time to time with just paperwork, and especially during the last month where we're getting a ton of registration. Right, because all that stuff has to be processed, and even one is about half an hour of work on its own. So I think we'll probably be starting off small, and then I think once we move into a full-time recreation director, maybe a piece of support staff down there as well.
Yeah. What do you see as kind of, what is your long-term vision for the rec department? What would you like to see this thing look like, say, in 5 years, 10 years down the road?
Well, that's interesting. I've spent some time with Walter Burke, who is the recreation director in Bristol, who's had 30 years to make the incredible and really incredible recreation department he has down there.
They do a magnificent job over there. Yeah.
Outstanding, yes. Definitely a good role model for me. What I see for the rec department, besides having Sandy Point Beach, I want to see a lot of other programs, especially during the school year and things like that. I want, monthly movie nights, and a lot of other fun things that we can do for the residents. And what's been holding me back the most is not having a building. And now, like I said, that we have the Brown House, I think you're going to see a lot more in the coming months.
There are other groups out there, just to kind of, this might be something you might want to think about. For example, the community theater group. Those guys, they could put on like a historical play or something. The Historical Society, of which I'm on the board, that's a town resource too that might segue into something that's got to do with recreation. So there are a lot of these things, so you wouldn't have to reinvent everything.
Right.
And I think all of these organizations, the Arts Guild, talk about art programs or something for kids. All of these things are there, and people are more than willing, it seems, to kind of branch out and help other organizations, so it might be a good thing to keep in your mind. You can always contact just about any of us, because we at least know where these bones are buried here to try to get these guys up and running.
No, we're very interested in working with other people. I'm in the process of talking with the folks down at the Common Fence Point.
Yeah, that's another group.
That area down there, in addition to the Middletown YMCA. So we're just starting to branch out and to get bigger. And I would say, by the time next summer rolls around, you'll see probably a double or triple in size in the amount of programs and things that we're going to offer.
Well, that's great. You mentioned the land on the side of Sandy Point Road. Where is that, and what do you kind of plan to do it? Just use it as an alternative field so you can rotate?
Yeah, the plan is to work on those fields a little bit and then get them to the point where we can start moving our regular sports teams to and from a little bit, like you said earlier. So so that land is not always used.
Yeah, so it can rest a little bit.
Yeah, and it can regrow and regenerate because it is, like you said, it's very well used right now, and it would be great if we could rotate things around a bit.
Now, where is that land going down Sandy Point Road? Is it all the way? It can't be down by the beach because there are houses down
No, it's over on the as you go down Sandy Point, over on the right. That land in that section there, and I mean, it's obviously some work needs to be done, and we're not quite there yet. But that is a plan for the future.
Yeah. There's also quite a bit of open space behind the senior center that I don't think anybody's got any plans or using.
Oh, sure. And I've talked to
So you're the
Cynthia.
guy that can fill all these spaces we haven't done.
Oh, sure. And I've talked to Cynthia before down there at the senior center about, we wanted to organize some, casino trips and day trips to New York and things like that. But Cynthia does such a great job down there as it is. She's got things well in hand, and but the door is open if she ever needs anything from the recreation department.
It is very well organized down there. See, that's the thing. Once you start thinking about recreation, it's not just for kids.
No, it's for everybody
in town.
Exactly.
That movie night was very successful when you did it part of the police association building thing.
Right.
Where did you hold that, and how do you plan to do this? You said one a month. Where would you hold it at? Like a library or something?
Well, I think we're going to get a projector and a screen, so I think it's something we could do outside the Brown House, in one of those fields down there eventually.
Okay.
But what we did last year, and I think it was August 2nd last year, what it is it's National Night Out across the country, and what it is, it's a time for residents to learn about police programs and recreation in their town. So that's what the collaboration came from last year. Now, last year we showed Zootopia, and the kids loved it. We had over 400 residents. We had raffles, face painting, games for the kids. There were prizes to win.
It's almost like a carnival.
It is almost like a little carnival.
Yeah.
And it was really great, and we're going to do that again this August. Tuesday, August 1st is National Night Out again, and within a week or so, I would say you'll start seeing the flyers around, and it'll be on the town website. We're just trying to lock down the movie rights as we speak.
Okay, and where would this be again?
This would be at Sandy Point Beach for right now,
Beach.
but like you said, I envision in the future when we get to, of course, weather permitting, when we get to these once-a-month movie nights, I think they'll probably be around the Brown House.
Yeah, and again, there are other organizations, again, that have spaces, basically the town hall, town council chambers, the Portsmouth Free Public Library. The Historical Society will eventually, we're trying to make the upstairs ADA accessible. That'd be a great place to show a movie or a play or anything else.
Oh, absolutely.
And of course, Common Fence Point, which is another great place to do this stuff. So what I like to see personally is all the groups working together, because we all have the same mission here, just to kind of do things for our town and make it better,
Oh, absolutely, and I think I'm very open to collaboration, and I think one of our issues that we've had in the Recreation Department so far is we've just been trying to do so much with so little, and now we're finally to a point where I think we're solid, and now is the time to start doing that branching out and stuff, because we didn't have a catalog a year and a half ago. We didn't have too much of anything.
Yeah.
And now I think we're in a solid place.
Well, you've done a great job, as
Thank
they
you.
say.
Thank you.
There are other areas. Down here by the Old Stone Bridge, Teddy's Beach it's called. It's a little beach down there. Mm-hmm. No lifeguards. We have several of these little things in Portsmouth. Teddy's Beach, it's down there by 15 Point Restaurant.
Yeah.
Are there any plans to kind of make that, or we're one of the things that's been going on is trying to figure out, one, who owns that land, is it DOT or DEM, and two, if we can somehow get them to refurbish the place a little bit, particularly that bridge area, so that people can actually use it. Are you connected with that at all? Or?
Well, I agree it would be a great idea, because I used to live down on Narragansett Avenue, which is close to the seawall.
Yeah.
And the disadvantage of, I think, that beach area is, there's glass in the water, and it hasn't been well regulated. And a big part of that is that, it's a state beach. The state has control over that beach. So, and I think it's kind of fallen through the cracks a little bit, which is why, I put so much effort into Sandy Point, because, at least we have that one area that we can do. But
sure.
I would love to see the state come down and do some work.
We have a state senator, Jim 70 now, who should be up there, knocking on the table, because he's very interested in that particular beach, making that into something. So
100% behind that.
Possibilities. Another one is the Mount Hope Park, which is currently just a project. It's at the northern end of Bristol Ferry Road, right next to the Bristol Ferry Town Common, and there are plans to make that into a kind of public park with some recreation possibilities. I know you haven't been down there yet. In fact, if you do want to go down there sometime, I'm on this little steering committee. I'd be happy to show you around and talk about what some of the possibilities might be.
Sure, that'd be great.
The only other thing I have to say here really is that you've been doing a great job. I can't say that enough times, because I'm just totally blown away by how much you've done as a part-time guy. I hope you'll come back here, talk more about, send us stuff we can advertise.
Sure.
Your events and things. We're all in the same thing. We're all here to help.
Yeah, we're all on the same team, and
Absolutely.
I appreciate you having me. And I think things to look for in the future with the rec department is going to be the movie night on August the 1st.
Okay.
An after-school program for kids in September, and we just finished 4 weeks of programming down at Sandy Point. We took a week off, and now we're coming back in a week from now for our last 4 weeks.
Okay, great. Thanks very much for being on.
Thank you.
And thank you. We'll see you next time.